we need to have a very honest, very uncomfortable conversation about the American dream. For decades, we were sold a specific version of retirement. It involved a condo on the beach, a golf cart, and sipping margaritas while watching the sunset over the ocean. It was a beautiful image. It was also, for the vast majority of people, a complete fantasy. Fast forward to 2025. The reality is hitting hard. Inflation has eaten our savings, healthcare costs are spiraling, and the idea of retiring on the coast now requires a lottery win or a trust fund. For millions of Americans, the goal isn't luxury anymore. The goal is simply survival. The goal is finding a place where your Social Security check doesn't just vanish into the ether the moment it hits your bank account. The goal is finding a town where you don't have to choose between paying your property tax and paying for your prescription medication. This brings us to South Carolina. Now, when you hear South Carolina, you probably think of Charleston, with its cobblestone streets and multi-million-dollar mansions. Or you think of Hilton Head, where the homeowners association fees alone cost more than most people's mortgage. Forget those places. Those places are for the 1%. We are going to explore the other South Carolina, the South Carolina that exists off the interstate, down the 2-lane highways, and deep in the pine forests. We have found 10 towns where the median home price looks like a typo from 1995. These are places where you can buy a brick house with a yard for under $200,000. These are places where a Social Security check is actually a living wage. But, and there is always a but, there is a reason these places are cheap. You are trading something to live here. You might be trading culture. You might be trading convenience. You are definitely trading cool, crisp air for humidity that feels like being hugged by a wet wool blanket in a sauna. Some of these towns are gritty. Some are boring. Some are so quiet you can hear your own arteries hardening. But if your number one priority is making the math work so you can sleep at night without financial panic, this is your list. Let's break down the 10 South Carolina towns where you can actually retire on Social Security alone and the honest reality of what that life looks like. Number 10. Gaffney. If you know the name Gaffney, it is likely for one very specific, very ridiculous reason: the Peachoid. It is a massive water tower painted to look like a peach. It sits right on the side of Interstate 85. But let's be adults here. It doesn't look like a peach. It looks like a giant rear end in the sky. It was a plot point in House of Cards, and people drive by, take a photo, giggle, and keep driving to Charlotte. But if you actually pull off the highway and drive into the town itself, you find one of the most strategic financial bunkers in the state. Gaffney sits in the upstate, sandwiched right between Charlotte, North Carolina, and Greenville, South Carolina. You are less than an hour from two of the hottest, most expensive cities in the South, but you are paying rural, middle-of-nowhere prices. Let's look at the financial reality. The median home price in Gaffney is hovering around $190,000. Let that sink in. $190,000. In Charlotte, that buys you a parking space. In Gaffney, that buys you a 3-bedroom brick ranch built in the 70s. It might have avocado green appliances and shag carpet you need to rip out, but it is a solid roof over your head. If you sell a home in the north and move here, you could potentially buy in cash and never have a mortgage payment again. The lifestyle is simple. There is a historic downtown that is trying very hard to revitalize. There are parks. There is a massive outlet mall, so if your retirement hobby is hunting for discount sneakers, you are in heaven. The vibe is working class and unpretentious. Nobody here cares what kind of car you drive or what brand of watch you wear. But here is the catch. It is gritty. This isn't a manicured retirement village with manicured lawns and fountains. There are neighborhoods that are run down. There are abandoned textile mills that stand as monuments to a different economic era. The crime rate in certain pockets is higher than the national average, so you have to be street smart about where you buy. And the traffic? Interstate 85 is a war zone. It is constantly under construction, constantly jammed with semi-trucks. If you live here, you learn to avoid the highway at all costs. But for the price, it is a sacrifice many are willing to make. Number 9. Sumter. Sumter is a town defined by one thing: the sound of freedom. And by sound of freedom, I mean the roar of F-16 fighter jets rattling your windows at 10 a.m. Sumter is home to Shaw Air Force Base. Why does that matter for your retirement? Because military bases bring logistics. They bring stability. Because of the base, Sumter has a shockingly robust infrastructure for a town of its size. There are plenty of doctors, plenty of big box stores, and a population that is far more diverse than your average rural southern town. It is also incredibly cheap. The cost of living here is roughly 18% lower than the national average. The median home price sits around $220,000. You can get a lot of house for that money. We are talking about a garage, a yard big enough for a vegetable garden, and maybe even a sunroom. The crown jewel of the town is Swan Lake Iris Gardens. It is the only public park in the United States to feature all 8 known species of swans. It is genuinely beautiful, a place where the black water reflects the cypress trees and the flowers bloom in an explosion of color. You can walk there every morning for free and feel like you are living in a much more expensive city. But let's talk about the catch. The locals call it the Gamecock City, but they should call it the Steam Room. Sumter sits in the middle of the state, in the Midlands. You are too far inland to get the ocean breeze, and too far south to get the mountain air. In July and August, the air is thick. It is heavy. You will sweat walking to your mailbox. You will sweat standing still. Also, it is flat, relentlessly flat. If your soul needs mountain views or crashing waves, Sumter will depress you. And while the base brings stability, it also means the town feels a bit transient. People come, they serve, and they leave. It can be hard to build deep roots in a community that is always rotating. But if you need your social security check to cover the electric bill, which will be high because of the AC, with room to spare, Sumter delivers. Number 8. Greenwood. They call it the Emerald City, not because of the Wizard of Oz, but because it is incredibly green. Greenwood is located in the Lakelands region of South Carolina. The main draw here is Lake Greenwood, 11,000 acres of water for boating, fishing, and doing absolutely nothing. Now, usually living near a lake is code for you can't afford it. Lakefront property is for millionaires. But in Greenwood, you can find homes near the water. Maybe not on the water, but with a view of it, or a 2-minute walk to it, for under $250,000. The median home price for the whole town is around $230,000. Greenwood is famous for the SC Festival of Flowers. Every June, the town turns into a massive garden party. They put up these famous signature topiaries, bushes shaped like elephants, jeeps, dinosaurs, and mermaids. It is charming, slightly weird, and very wholesome. It feels like a town from the 1950s that just kept going. Another huge plus for retirees is the medical care. Self-regional healthcare is a major hospital system based right in town. Having a top-tier hospital 5 minutes away is a luxury that usually costs a lot more in real estate taxes. The catch? Isolation. Greenwood is a bit of an island. You are about an hour away from the nearest interstate highway. Getting here takes effort. You aren't just popping over to a big city for dinner. And the pace is slow, painfully slow if you are used to the Northeast. If you want high-end shopping or fine dining with white tablecloths, you are driving an hour to Greenville. Greenwood has chain restaurants and a few local meat-and-three spots, but it is not a culinary capital. It is a place where dinner is fried, tea is sweet, and the streetlights turn off early. Number 7. Orangeburg. The Garden City. If your budget is tight, I mean really tight, Orangeburg is where you look. Located halfway between Columbia and Charleston, Orangeburg is one of the most affordable places in the entire country. The median home price is around $160,000. Let me repeat that. $160,000. You can find livable, decent houses for $120,000. That means your mortgage payment, even with today's interest rates, could be less than typical rent in a bad neighborhood elsewhere. That leaves a massive chunk of your Social Security check for groceries, travel, or just saving for a rainy day. It is famous for the Edisto Memorial Gardens, which are stunning when the roses are in bloom along the Blackwater River. It has 2 universities, South Carolina State and Claflin, so there is a bit of educational energy and history. But we have to be brutally honest about the catch. Orangeburg has struggled. It is a poor town. The crime rate in the city limits is statistically high. You have to be very, very specific about where you buy, usually on the outskirts or in established older neighborhoods. The downtown has seen better days. You will see empty storefronts. You will see buildings that need paint. It is hot, it is buggy, and it is economically depressed. Why is it on the list? Because for a retiree with a strictly limited income, who wants to own their home outright and live a quiet life, the math in Orangeburg is hard to beat. You can buy a home for cash here that would be a down payment in Charleston. You just have to be willing to live in a town that is still fighting to find its footing. It is not for the faint of heart, but it is a financial lifeline for many. Number 6. Conway. Everyone knows Myrtle Beach. It is loud, it is full of tourists, it is tacky, and it is getting surprisingly expensive. But just 15 miles inland, along the dark winding Waccamaw River, lies Conway. Conway is the antidote to Myrtle Beach. It is one of the oldest towns in South Carolina, and it drips with Southern Gothic charm. We are talking about massive live oak trees, draped in Spanish moss, that touch the ground. A riverwalk where the black water reflects the cypress trees like a mirror. A historic downtown with brick streets, murals, and no neon signs allowed. It feels like a movie set for a Southern mystery drama. The median home price is around $280,000. It has gone up because people are discovering it, but it is still affordable compared to the coast. You get the benefits of the beach. It is a 20-minute drive to the ocean, without the skyrocketing insurance premiums and the drunk college students screaming on spring break. The lifestyle here is river life, kayaking, fishing, and sitting on the porch watching the humidity rise. Coastal Carolina University is here, so you have college sports, the teal turf field is famous, and a bit of youth energy. The catch: traffic. Because it is the gateway to Myrtle Beach, the traffic on Highway 501 is legendary. It is the road to hell. In the summer, trying to drive east toward the beach is a test of your spiritual endurance. You will sit in gridlock next to tourists from Ohio, and flooding. Conway is a river town. When hurricanes hit the coast, the Waccamaw River rises, and it keeps rising for days. You need to check the flood maps obsessively. If you buy a house in the wrong spot, your living room might become part of the river every September. Number 5. Florence. Florence used to be a punchline. It used to be the place you just stopped for gas and a bathroom break on your way to Florida because it sits right at the intersection of I-95 and I-20. But in the last 10 years, Florence has pulled off a miracle. It reinvented itself. The downtown has been completely revitalized. They poured millions into it. They have a massive library, a performing arts center, and a museum. They have breweries and restaurants that serve food you actually want to eat. But the biggest selling point for retirees is the medical scene. Florence is a massive medical hub for the entire PD region. McLeod Health and MEOC Health have huge campuses here. You can get top-tier cardiac care, cancer care, and specialists without ever leaving town. The median home price is around $230,000. It is incredibly affordable. You can buy a sturdy brick ranch in a quiet tree-lined subdivision for $200 grand. The catch: it is still a highway town in many ways. It is sprawling. It is not walkable outside of that tiny downtown core. You have to drive everywhere. And the landscape: it is boring. It is flat agricultural land. There are no mountains. There is no ocean. There are just fields of cotton, soybeans, and tobacco as far as the eye can see. Also, the humidity here is aggressive. It sticks to you. And because it is a transport hub, it can feel a bit transient. But if you prioritize access to healthcare and low costs over scenic views, Florence is the pragmatic, smart money choice. It isn't sexy, but it works. Number 4. Aiken. If you want to feel fancy but pay Social Security prices, you go to Aiken. Aiken is weird in the best possible way. In the late 1800s, it was the winter colony for the ultra-rich from the north. The Vanderbilts, the Astors, the Whitneys. They came here for their horses. Today, that legacy remains. Aiken is horse country. But not just cowboys. We are talking polo, fox hunting, and steeplechase. There are unpaved clay roads right in the middle of town that are reserved for horses. The downtown looks like it belongs in a Ralph Lauren commercial, charming, leafy, and polite. But here is the surprise: it is cheap. The median home price is around $260,000. You can live next to a millionaire who owns a stable of thoroughbreds, while you live in a modest cottage that costs less than a studio apartment in Boston. It is a strange mix of high society and low cost of living. The downtown is vibrant and walkable. The Hitchcock Woods is an urban forest twice the size of Central Park in New York, and it is right in the middle of town. You can walk for miles under the pine trees. The catch: it can feel a bit cliquey. There is old Aiken money, and then there is everyone else. If you aren't into horses, you might feel like an outsider at parties. Also, the nuclear reservation. The Savannah River site is nearby. It's a major employer and a huge part of the local economy. But some people are nervous about living near a nuclear facility. And the allergies. The pine pollen in the spring is legendary. It will coat your lungs. But for the charm, it is hard to beat. Number 3. Spartanburg. They call it Sparkle City. Spartanburg is the gritty industrial cousin to the trendy Greenville. Located in the upstate, Spartanburg has a strong blue-collar history. It was a textile hub, but recently it has been booming thanks to foreign investment, specifically BMW, which has a massive factory nearby. For retirees, Spartanburg offers the amenities of a big city at a small-town price. The median home price is around $240,000. Compare that to Greenville, just 30 minutes away, where prices are skyrocketing and traffic is getting unbearable. Spartanburg is the discount alternative. You get the same access to the mountains, the same climate, but your dollar goes 30% further. The downtown is walkable and fun. They have the Hub City Bookshop, one of the best independent bookstores in the South. They have a cultural center. They have incredible hiking nearby at Croft State Park. The catch: it is still rough around the edges. It is an industrial town. There are neighborhoods you want to avoid. It doesn't have the polished, manicured, Disney-fied feel of Greenville. It feels more like a real working city. The train tracks run right through town, and you will hear them. And the traffic on I-85 is intense. But if you want to be close to the mountains, and close to the action without paying the cool kid premium, Spartanburg is the smart money move. Number 2. Seneca. If your dream is mountain lake living on a budget, Seneca is the answer.
Located in the golden corner of South Carolina, Seneca sits right next to Lake Cowee and Lake Hartwell. And looming in the background, the Blue Ridge Mountains. Lake Cowee is famous for its crystal-clear, emerald-green water. Multi-million-dollar mansions line the shore. It is the playground for the rich. But here is the hack. In Seneca itself, just a few miles from the water, the median home price is around $270,000. You can't afford the lakefront mansion on Social Security, but you can afford a cute house in town. And here is the secret. You are 5 minutes from the public boat ramp. You get the same view, the same water, and the same mountain air for a fraction of the price. It is also right next to Clemson University. That means you get the college town perks, sports, lectures, energy, without living in the middle of the frat houses. The catch? It is quiet. Outside of lake activities and college football games, there isn't much nightlife. If you don't like the outdoors, you will be bored. And on game days, forget about driving. The roads turn into a sea of orange. The population explodes. If you hate football, you will need to hide in your basement on Saturdays in the fall. Also, it is hilly. If you have mobility issues, be aware that the terrain here is not flat like the coast. Number 1. Abbeville. And finally, number 1. The ultimate time capsule for the budget-conscious retiree. Abbeville. If you want to retire in a place that feels like Europe but costs like rural Alabama, this is it. Abbeville is stunning. It has a town square paved with brick. It has a historic opera house that was once one of the most famous stages in America. The architecture is colorful, preserved, and charming. It feels like a hidden village that time forgot to ruin. It is small, population around 5,000, but it punches way above its weight class in terms of culture and vibes. And the price? The median home price is around $180,000. You can buy a historic Victorian home that needs a little polish for under 200 grand. It is one of the last places in America where that is possible. You can walk to the square, have a coffee, and walk home, all for a cost of living that feels like 1990. The lifestyle is incredibly slow. People sit on benches. They talk to their neighbors. They go to a show at the opera house. It feels safe. It feels wrapped in a warm blanket of history. The catch? It is in the middle of nowhere. You are 45 minutes from a major highway. You are an hour from a big city. If you need major medical specialists, you are driving to Greenwood or Anderson, and the history is heavy here. Abbeville is known as the birthplace and deathbed of the Confederacy. It has a complicated, heavy past that it is still grappling with. Also, dining options. You have about 3 good restaurants. You will memorize the menu in a week. But if your goal is to stretch that Social Security check as far as it will go, while living in a place that is visually beautiful and full of community, Abbeville is the winner. So there you have it. 10 towns in South Carolina where you don't need $1 million to retire. You just need a tolerance for humidity, a love for sweet tea, and a willingness to slow down. Real estate is about compromise. You give up the cool factor to get the solvency factor. Which one of these fits your budget and your vibe? Are you a lake person in Seneca or a history buff in Abbeville? Let me know in the comments below. And tell me, is mustard-based BBQ a genius invention or a crime against humanity? I need to know where you stand. Hit like if you want more budget-friendly retirement guides. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one. I'll see you there.